Oh, Alex, I'm so glad we decided not to get divorced after you saw me cheating on you with those ducks. See, I told you AM4 was a fantastic investment, and now we have money for the honeymoon. Unless, oops. Oh, wait, shit, did I break the arm on that? All right, look here, listen, I already disposed of the body. Nobody's gonna know about it, but just in case, we're gonna sell all of that DDR5 RAM that we bought and grab the nearest plane to the border, all right? We're gonna do this, all right? You know I love you more. It was a complete accident, but think of this as an opportunity to finally start fresh without Alex getting in the way. I just want to start off by saying that if you are building your first PC this year or trying to look for a new PC this year because yours is very outdated, I have to wish you Godspeed because it is an absolute shit show out there when it comes to RAM. If you look up DDR5 RAM, which is the current RAM kits, like the fastest RAM kits you can get, you have things like this that are literally one stick of 16 gigabyte RAM for $164. Usually a low end 32 gigabyte kit of two sticks would be this price for DDR5. But as we keep scrolling and scrolling, it's just getting worse and worse and worse to the point where, it's more expensive than some of the low range PCs we used to make just about like a year and a half ago. It's insane. Like full rigs are now less expensive like year and a half ago than they were a whole kit of RAM now, just a kit of RAM now. It's absolutely insane. However, if you look at DDR4, it's a lot less unreasonable. Still, it's a lot. Like, I'd consider this to be DDR5 prices for 32 gigabyte kits, but obviously DDR4 is slower. It's less desirable by these AI data centers that are just sucking up all of the components we could ever want. And all these companies like Micron are exiting the consumer computing market entirely. So, unfortunately, pickings are going to get more and more slim as time goes on to the point where I'd say, like, if you want something very fast and very cheap to build, I'd probably recommend getting an AM4 build from like the AMD's CPU architecture because these prices are a lot easier to swallow. They're still not, amazing for what you're getting, but if you get a good kit, like I think my kit's actually here. I have a Corsair Vengeance kit in mine right now. I think it's a 64 gigabyte kit, and luckily I got my AM4 upgrades way before this RAM shortage even happened. I upgraded my CPU, GPU, and my RAM, and that was probably the best investment I ever made was getting this RAM, my 5700X3D, and my 4070 Super, because that's going to last me a few more years. Not only because of the fact that they're newer parts and the 3D V cache for gaming and just, an all around better GPU, but it seems like we're getting more DDR4 RAM, more AM4 CPUs from AMD because Gigabyte is announced and is coming out with DDR4 AM4 motherboards as these RAM shortages continue to happen. So, to read here from Tom's Hardware, Gigabyte is capitalizing on ongoing resurgence in demand for AM4 motherboards as DDR5 RAM prices continue to rise. Spotted by Tech PowerUp, the board maker has released four brand new boards, two on the A520 chipset and two on the B550 chipset, featuring a mix of micro ATX and mini ITX variants. So that's very interesting. I don't think they've had like full variants, which is interesting. Um, Most of the four boards are new iterations of existing models sporting minor upgrades to make them more modern, such as ARGB lighting, Wi Fi support. So we'll be getting things like Wi Fi 6E, maybe even Wi Fi 7 on some if more get announced. So this is definitely good news when it comes to people who want to make more incremental upgrades on their AM4 build. Again, that investment on AM4 as opposed to just making a whole new AM5 build was probably the best call I could have ever made. And when it comes to like getting something fast, I don't mean like a fast computer. I mean like, you know, like if you want to build something relatively soon, this might be a good option for you in the meantime if you can get the prices low enough. There's a robust used market on places like eBay or Facebook Marketplace where you could probably get like used parts, whether they are CPUs, GPUs, RAM, on the AM4 side of things. Um, and even I was even looking on eBay earlier, like it says in this article, like I was looking up 5800 X3D, even though my 5700 X3D isn't that much less powerful. I was looking at it just in case I wanted to like put it in a build or, figure something out with that. And they're skyrocketing on eBay because people know that these things are going to come out. And hopefully AMD is on the fast track of releasing more 5000 series CPUs, particularly the X3D ones. I think those are probably the best, especially for gaming. If people want to make a really quick and easy AM4 build, the CPUs with the 3D V cache are probably going to be the absolute best. So, yeah, keep an eye out for 5000 series CPUs, either at Micro Center, Newegg, or even just online. See if you can get a good deal. Now, as for GPUs, I wanted to add this real quick. It's been a topic that's been rolling around the news for a bit, but I still wanted to cover it because it's very relevant to the video in terms of older parts being re-released. Nvidia is bringing back the 3060, allegedly. Nvidia is rumored to be reviving its 3060 design from almost 5 years ago amid ongoing price hikes from the latest gen hardware and decreasing availability due to memory shortages. That's right. So if you wanted a GPU with pretty slow memory that's more underpowered than the slowest 50 series card on the market right now, which is the 5050, I guess you got the 3060. Um, the big asterisk with this is that we do not know whether or not it is the 8 GB or 12 GB variant because for some stupid reason, like GPU GPU manufacturers like to release the same card with different VRAM amounts, which I always found to be the stupidest thing on the planet. Like, why not just add like a TI or a Super to it to like make it at least somewhat different? But no, we have to continue to have like, you know, 60 class cards come out with like one being 16 gigs of VRAM and the other being 8, and it just doesn't make any sense. But that's just a side tangent. But the leak doesn't go into particular details, so we don't know whether it's 8 GB with a 128-bit bus or the 12 GB variant with a 192-bit bus. I'll say this outright: if it's the 8 GB one, like they might as well have just given us nothing, because like 8 GB in 2026, like for esports titles and indies, that's great. But for like a lot of the bigger AAA single player games, like that's not going to fly in, this day and age. And 12 GB would probably be the preferred because, we're not getting a lot of well optimized games lately. And knowing that they take up more VRAM just means that 8 GB is going to be less and less desirable for people that, you know, play a whole variety of games. Like, again, if you're playing like a Marvel Rivals or Valorant or playing indies like Hollow Knight Silk Song or Megabonk, like it's going to be no problem at all with 8 GB of VRAM. But it's still very concerning that we don't know the exact VRAM amount because especially this day and age, more VRAM is starting to matter more than it was years ago. Um, and yeah, hopefully we at least get the 12 GB version if this is true. Hopefully, maybe we actually get more current GPUs like, 5050s and 5060s, and maybe it's just the 70 and 80 class GPUs in the 50 series that are, scarce and hard to come by. And who knows? Maybe this whole AI bubble will completely pop. These billionaires will be crying, bitching, and moaning that nobody bought into AI, at least the consumers didn't, and they have to sell all of their parts at a complete loss because, they that's what they get for, fucking up society and our hobby and, the world at large. So, yeah, if that happens, get fucked. Fuck you, Sam Altman. So before we end off today, I wanted to just take a look on PC Part Picker, see what we can find in terms of uh, CPUs and RAM for this particular type of build with an AM4 build. So if we just go into CPUs on PC Part Picker, we have the 5000 series near the top, which is good for what we're looking at. Um, we have the absolute cheapest being the 5500X or the 5500, which probably be the absolute cheapest you could go, but I wouldn't recommend it because things like the 5600 are only so much more expensive, and like at this particular like range of like power and like the age of the CPU, I probably recommend somewhere between 150 and $250. And it seems like everything you could want is actually reasonably priced. I see a 5700X 3D for $330. That's actually like a whole $130 more than when I bought it at Micro Center last year. So hopefully AMD comes out with more 5000 series CPUs and brings them to the stores and puts them on store shelves, because I think, that would help a lot of people through this current, this current crisis of having no computer parts to go by. So on the CPU side, it seems like 5000 series is relatively well priced. If we look on eBay, let's check eBay because they particularly, let me look, let's look up 5700X3D. Yeah, like they're even more expensive than some of the new ones you can find on like Amazon, and these are like pre-owned ones. So maybe when they come out with more 5000 series CPUs, these will go down in price on eBay, hopefully. Um, but in terms of CPUs, if you go AM4 this time around, if you want something to game on, period, this is probably the best bet you can go with getting a 5000 series CPU, especially if you can find them new between $150, $250. As for, let's take a look at RAM DDR4. Yeah, we got my Corsair Vengeance. That was $179. That's I think that was a little bit more expensive than what I initially went with. Like it was like $120 when I bought it, which isn't terrible. Like if you want 32 gigs of RAM, so like there's reasonable prices for. Let's clamp that down and let's do a 32 gigabyte kit or two 32s and two 16s, just so we can keep it, you know, down to a certain limit, because I think 32 gigs is going to be the absolute lowest you can go. And I have 64 in my rig right now. So we got that 179. I think that's a great deal. Like if you are looking for pretty fast RAM at a reasonable price at DDR4, that's probably the best. Um, let's take a look here. There are some faster variants with, but there's also the late the sorry, the CAS latency. Sorry, I'm stuttering so much. I want to get this video done and uploaded for tomorrow. Um, thank you for your patience with my stuttering and stammering. Um, but yeah, like depending on what you go for, like let's just see. Let's actually cut off 232s because that can get a little pricey. So yeah, you have somewhere between like $175 and 275, which, is still pricey for RAM, but if you wanted to build something, this is probably where you're going to end up at, unfortunately. But, you know, there are still options out there, especially if you're looking at AM4. And thankfully, you know, manufacturers like Gigabyte are coming out with new motherboards that are AM4 with new features, whether it's, Wi-Fi 6E or other things like that. And also you have older GPUs that are coming out brand new that I don't think will be the best, but if it's all you can find under $300, if you want something entry level, then why not? You can invest in that, and hopefully prices go down for something a bit more powerful in the long run. But overall, I'd say if you have AM4 now, it might be a good time to find upgrades or like look for what you're going to upgrade. If you don't have a gaming PC right now or a PC in general but you really want one and you want to build one like right now, I'd probably recommend a very like beginner entry level like AM4 build with like a 60 class GPU, whether you get the 3060 that's rumored to come out or something a bit later gen like a 4060 or 5060, or you do AMD, which actually would probably be the better go around, to be perfectly honest, because you'll probably find a 9060 XT for a reasonable price compared to everything else, even though it will probably be around $500 or so, a bit more than that. At least last time I checked, it'll probably last you a lot longer than, a flimsy 3060. But I don't know. Before I ramble more and more, thank you guys so much for watching. It really means a lot. Our video from last week got 2,000 views, and I doubled my subscriber count in a matter of days. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you would please leave a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, I'd really appreciate it. Let's keep this, let's keep the good vibes going. Let's keep this, hype train going and the subscriber and like train going. I really want to be picked up in the algorithm and really get more videos out to you guys. And the video last week doing so well has been such an encouragement. I'm sorry if this isn't as much of a more of a shtick fest where I'm just doing jokes the whole time, but yeah, more videos to come. I will see you guys sooner this week. Hopefully, we have a live stream this week at some point. My schedule has been very out of hand, but thank you guys so much. Have a good night.